Hello and welcome to the Pro Detailer Podcast. We have celebrity guest Ram of Colourlock here today. How are you doing today, Ram?
Very, very good. So happy to see you guys. It's been such a long time, I think, since we've met face to face. Yeah, it has been.
It's been a good time. We've also got Ian here, obviously.
Hello there.
Hello there. Hello there.
Oh.
Mr. Seeley.
Particularly predatory today.
The pink outfit.
Oh, God, yeah, I've only just noticed that.
It is close off Thursday, isn't it? Maybe t-shirt.
We'll just
I thought you looked below the table.
Ram, we've known each other for many, many years. We've been...
Which is impossible because he always looks about 26.
It is unfair. You are.
It's eternally youthful.
You're my age, aren't you?
37.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're Ian's age then. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still the youngest in the room.
You are.
We've been all over. We drove to Germany together. You and I.
God,
that was a while back. Yeah,
that was a great trip,
cuddled
though.
up in the back.
I wouldn't say cuddled up. It just
You were spooning at one point.
Oh God.
Yeah, there was
It was a
photo
motorway.
that,
You know.
we were in the back of a leather-clad German.
It's just a bit uncomfortable when you woke up, and it's.
Who took the photo? It was you or James?
Can't have been James. He was driving.
Yeah, he was.
I hope it was.
He was trying to hold onto the vibrating steering wheel.
Oh yeah, the brakes had warped, hadn't they?
Yes.
Yeah, they were fine before we started driving it. And then suddenly they break, and then I go and spend €1,500 on new brake discs.
That was a good trip, though.
It was fun.
It
was good fun.
I think, what was it? You picked me up, I think. 2
in the morning or something like that.
Yeah,
2 o'clock in the
South
morning.
London.
My
on a street
goodness.
corner.
Yeah.
With the red light.
The sort of thing that happens to me every Friday night.
Yeah, that's true. It was literally on a street corner. And then,
Roxanne was playing in the background.
And you remember walking into that German Audi dealership, and I'd phoned ahead and said that we got a problem with the thing, and they were like, yes, we speak English. And I was like, yeah, you didn't understand what I was saying, did you? And then we walk in there, and there are 4 of us, and we're waving GoPros around and cameras around and going, Fritz ist kaputt, Fritz ist kaputt. And the look on the whole dealership, all these meat Germans, and they were terrified of us. And then I took the mechanic out and showed him Fritz's brake calipers, so he's a D2 S8, should have little 4-pot Brembos on. He had big 8-pot RS6 brakes, where I had 4 brakes on, and 2-piece discs. And he was looking at me and he says, this is D2, this brake is not, what? And he was blowing his little head and he said, if I order new discs, and he was trying to get me to buy new calipers and discs to return it to standard S8 stock for probably €1 billion. I was like, no, this is from an RS6, just get that from an RS6. It just does not compute. God, that trip was mental. Yeah, no, that's bonkers. But speaking of trips, you are technically Colourlock UK and North America. And as such, you have been looking for years. In fact, you've been over to America many, many times, building up the kind of the Colourlock American empire. Yeah. And traveling, it kind of fits quite well with you because just briefly going back in time, into the mists of time, all the 80s. You were born in Mumbai?
That's correct, yeah. Mumbai, India.
And how old were you when you were sort of sent out into the world?
I was 14 and a half.
And you were sent to the Isle of Man, of all places?
I was sent to the Isle of Man. So I left Mumbai when I was 14 and a half, got a scholarship, moved to the Isle of Man when I was 14 and a half, which was it was a big change.
Yeah, what was it? Was a scholarship in motorbike riding? I mean, what else do they do in the Isle of Man? Tax evasion?
No, it was hospitality and tourism. Okay. So I remember when I just sort of cleared my schools in India, I was good academically, but I didn't really have any desire to sort of carry on and persevere with it. So that's what my father said, look, why don't you try hospitality? You don't have to study that much. It's mostly practical stuff.
It's just smiling and curtsying.
Be nice and, just bring a few plates of food out. Yeah. So I said, yeah, well, I'll give that a try. And then there was some kind of examination or a scholarship or a test or whatever that I had to clear.
It was cocktail mixing, wasn't it? Cocktail mixing.
It was cocktail, I was already into that by then. Clear that. And then I just, I think the whole process literally just took about 2.5 months. So it was summer holidays, literally during that was when I got my test done.
Yeah. Did you meet a dance instructor? You start doing No, I've gone dirty dancing.
Okay, no.
This is Ian's fantasy.
What are we talking about?
It gets a little bit twisted when you start to insert Ram into the Jennifer Grey role.
No.
Got to be careful how you say insert Ram.
Well, yeah.
Insert and or Ram.
Sounds like the instructions on the back of a toenail. So that was pretty cool. And why, of all places, the Isle of Man? I mean, it doesn't strike me. I know they have hotels on there, but
No, there was quite a reputed college at the time in the Isle of Man. I'm not so pleased to say that school or college is now closed down. So that probably says how reputable it was.
How do they find the bodies?
Yeah. So it was just something that a lot of the agents were flogging around. So I think it was either the Isle of Man or Switzerland, and Switzerland was just way too expensive.
Yeah, Switzerland's got a reputation for training.
Hospitality is quite big.
Expensive.
You go there at the beginning of your life.
Exactly
And at the end of your
that. And
life.
Switzerland was, as soon as my father heard the sort of the fee structure for Switzerland, he was like, "You're definitely going to the Isle of Man. You're not going to Switzerland. You can forget about that." So I ended up in the Isle of Man, and then I was there for about 15 months. What was that, back in 2000? And I think I was there for about 18 months, 2001. That was the year when we had the foot and mouth disease. So
I remember foot and mouth.
So the TT races got cancelled because of the foot and mouth, very, very itchy.
Yeah.
But it was funny because if you'd go into a normal pub, and when I was 14, I still looked like I was 19, 20.
A normal pub, what, as opposed to a gay bar? Or
No. Okay. So if you just go into your average pub, right, it would just be mostly old men drinking. It was a very quiet town, right? Because we weren't in the capital of Isle of Man. We were in a small town called Port Erin.
Because the capital's Douglas, isn't it?
Capital's Douglas, yeah.
But you've been into Douglas?
Yeah, many times. Yeah. So
I had to post a letter once.
it only took an hour by bus. It was the average journey that people would make. But those pubs during TT weeks would just turn into a completely different place.
Well, it's full of men in leather, isn't it? I mean...
Well, no, there was a lot of women on bar tops, playing with all different
for the benefit of the tape. For the benefit of the tape, Ram is now smiling.
So
I remember you.
I'm not getting up on this table if that's what you're going to try and.
No, I screwed it together. It's probably not a good idea. I remember you saying you had a lot of good time. You were a bit of a winner with the ladies, I hear.
No. Never. I was, look, I was doing what any 18-year-old, who's about 4,500 miles away from his parents would do. And,
so this is still sounding like an 80s coming of age film.
Let's get on to something more realistic.
Okay, so after the Isle of Man for 15 months, where did you go then?
Moved to London, and I've been in London pretty much ever since, yeah.
Cool. And then when did you, what drove you to leather and Colourlock?
I obviously, I was working in the hospitality trade, but once I'd been there for about, doing that for about 7 years, I figured that this is not something that I see myself doing, 20, 30 years down the line. And I thought times to change. If I wanted to change, now's the time to change. So I was looking at various different businesses, opportunities I could do. As with most sort of people of Indian background, I tried my hand at accounting and, trying to be a doctor, but it just wasn't for me.
You gave it a go, did you?
I was trying to stereotype myself, let's put it that way, but it didn't work out for me.
Tried to remember the appendix, turned up in your heart. It was a shame. I gave him the money back. But.
So I just, I was looking at various different things, and I had a friend of mine who used to run a detailing business. I started helping him out.
Is he still doing it?
No, he's moved on to something else now.
He's been doing it for 7 years, and you decided, no, this isn't the thing.
Yeah, exactly. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? No, so I started helping him, and that's when he was in his business. He used to have obviously a lot of high-end cars, and they'd have sort of pen marks and things like that, general leather issues. And that's when I started researching, looking at various different things. And I came across a lot of UK-based companies, tried out products, and tried my hand at sort of doing leather repair, but I wasn't getting much help, and that's how I found Colourlock in Germany. I actually approached Colourlock in the UK at the time, but they weren't big into. Colourlock was a very niche part of what they did, and that wasn't something they were looking at.
Who had Colourlock before you?
It was the guys who used to do Swiss wax. Up in Knaresborough.
Yeah. Well, Reap that was.
Well, that makes sense with the Swissfax connection, whether it's official or not.
Yeah.
But it always used to be a very strong Swissfax connection between Colourlock and...
No, so the Swissfax and Colourlock connection goes way back, dates way back. And I think that's, if I, I'm happy to share the story with you as much as I know, that it was basically George, the owner of Swissfax, he heard of Colourlock, he went there.
Is it George or Georg? I can never know what
I think it's George. I think you're just trying to make it sound sexier than it is. He's called George. He's from Switzerland.
Yeah.
Oh, stupid, sexy Georg.
No, so George went to Colourlock, he was blown away by the product range and what the guys were doing there. And he said, look, I'm not going to try and reinvent, the whole leather care range. I'm happy to just, adopt some of your products and sort of fit it into
same like
their
Gareth
range.
Therapy. I mean, Gareth Therapy done exactly the same. And they came to you and said, well, what's the point in us trying to develop something when you've had a head start? Why don't we just,
they gave us clear sort of guidelines as to what they wanted their product to do and how they wanted it to perform. And, once we had that, we could then sort of, I could liaise with our team at the HQ and come up with a suitable product.
At
the Leder Centrum, yes. So
is Jay Leno still working there?
He is very much. Cool. He's alive and kicking.
Yeah, I've got a photo of me,
he's
Jay
grown
Leno.
a few inches taller, I think.
Has he?
By that, but before we...
I didn't know you mentioned him on a regular basis. He's just got
taller, not longer. Right.
I just meant vertical.
So, he's still there. So that's how the whole Colourlock story for me began.
Yeah.
Right.
You were basically a customer and then said, well, actually, I can...
I had more questions and they said, look, just go to Germany. Went there for training. Over time, I was still using their products and doing things. I think they didn't want to, the guys in Knaresborough didn't want to carry on with Colourlock anymore, and it just sort of fell into my lap, and that's how I began.
Inherited it, yeah.
Yeah.
No, well, that's cool. And roughly what year was that? What year did you take
that? Was 2013, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which initially I thought, oh, that's quite recent. And then I thought, no, actually, that's nearly 10 years ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, 7-8 years ago now, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was sort of the beginning of Colourlock for me.
Yeah. And so you've got the rights to the UK and the US.
Didn't start with that, of course. It was just the UK to begin with.
Yeah.
And then as we started expanding and growing within the UK, we were just getting more inquiries from the US. And, they said that, look, if you are getting these inquiries, why don't you just start dealing with it?
Well, you speak the lingo for a start. And I can see, the UK and US, I suspect, has got a better trade arrangement. Well, I say that, but back in those days, a better trade arrangement than maybe Germany and the US did. Although in those days, of course, we would have all been EU controlled. But the point is that now you have been going backwards and forwards around. Obviously, pre-pandemic, you went over and did a lot of training sessions over a number of years.
Yeah.
And I always see, you are one of the best travelled of our regular visitors, because it's always where's around. We ask where people are. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy in Croydon. Sorry, I'm busy in Nantwich.
Yeah.
And then I'm just in Atlanta.
No, it's not something I like to brag about. I really don't. I enjoy the travel, but at the same time, it's time away from family for me, and it's not ideal. But I don't.
Sorry, your wife's not listening to this.
No, I know she isn't. No, but genuinely, it's something I don't. I if I would have had the opportunity to do it differently, I probably would.
Yeah.
But I'm here now, and I do enjoy it. It's great. I get to learn new things, get to see new places. Not everyone gets to do that, so I'm thankful. Yeah.
And what was interesting, because you're looking at basically setting up a US office HQ distribution center, so to speak, for and being able to. Because what's curious is that a lot of the products you do aren't just taking them off the shelf and putting them in a post, because you've got to custom mix the paint.
That's correct.
And you're saying about 80% of that is going to be what we call custom mixed to code. So somebody says, look, I've got a BMW E32 and it's in this color.
Yeah.
And could you send me the paint for it, sort of thing?
Yeah.
And then there are some people who will send you the headrest from said E32 and say, can you match that?
That's correct.
And that's not something you can just do through Fulfilled by Amazon.
No.
So it's more involved in that. So you kind of need a man or lady on the ground in America to do that mixing. And you're thinking, if you're doing that, you were looking at the prices of setting up a warehouse and a warehouse manager, and the cost of employing people in America is, even if you're paying them $60K, it's going to dollars.
Yeah.
Then it's actually going to cost you $90K in terms of costs.
Yeah.
With all the insurance and stuff you have to pay from. So we were kind of just looking at the maths on that sort of things. But it's interesting also that because it's so expensive to set up there, you're generally considering actually just running it UK side.
Well, I mean, the ultimate goal is to have a team and a warehouse based there. That's what the aim is. But there's ways you can go about doing that. You can either just go and pack bags now and do that. But I think that would be a mistake, and it could end up costing quite a lot of money.
Well, also don't leave us. I mean, you can't. UK is the best place in the world.
Exactly. We've got the best weather everywhere. No, but I think on a serious note, there are different ways you can do it.
Yeah.
Right. There's one way would be to just pack up shop now and start setting up things there, but we don't know, right? The US, while it's the land of great opportunity, it's also
Hope and glory. Oh no, is that England? No, I can't remember. It's the place where Alabama is. Yes.
Is it Hope and glory?
No, that's in America.
Yeah, but the US, while it represents this great land of opportunity that it is, and I definitely believe that there's lots of opportunities in the US, especially when we go from here. You just are exposed to something completely different.
Everything is bigger.
Everything's bigger to start with. But at the same time, it's also been a bit of a graveyard for a lot of European businesses. Yeah. You don't hear about the failures, you just hear about the successes, right? So you have to tread carefully because it's very easy to go there and blow 100, 200 grand on something, and you're never going to see that money back.
I was going to say, when we've spoken to people who've tried to enter the market over there before, the one that comes to mind is Dodo, and they are moderately successful in the States, but nothing compared to the household brand, if you like, that they are over here. Yeah. But
G-Technic have made a great success.
Amazing.
They said that their biggest problem is that people in the US want to buy made in the US.
And
they see the European brands as being a niche brand, if you like, so more boutique-y, but not the sort of thing that's
not a commodity.
If they had a choice between a European brand and an American brand, they both did the same thing. They choose the American brand every time. Do you find any kind of resistance?
Well, there's definitely they are patriotic. They love sort of US-based brands, but when it comes to Europe, UK, they associate Europe and UK with quality,
which is weird because they've
got a lot of love for us over there.
We used to, I mean, we send over Range Rovers and we used to send over Rovers and Triumphs and stuff, and yet they still associate us with quality, which is bonkers.
They've short memories as well, apparently.
Well, I think one thing is interesting is Colourlock is obviously a German brand, and you were saying a lot of the demand is really for BMW, Mercedes, and the German brand of cars. So, with a little knowledge on American history in the olden days, and I think it was in the 60s or so, if you drove a Japanese car, for example, they would burn it because obviously the war, but also the idea of getting an import with them. The big question with the car is, do I get an import or a domestic? And I'm guessing if they've already bought a BMW, then they're already kind of open-minded enough, but obviously misguided, to consider an import product. I suppose they're not so thing. But I'm guessing you don't get too many orders for Cadillacs and Lincolns and Dodges and all the other cars that they have.
No, we don't. But there's a lot of Japanese makes. Japanese cars are very, very popular there.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But a lot of the cars are also made in the US. So while they're Japanese cars, they're still manufactured in the US, right? So if you think about Mercedes, all the SUVs are made in the US.
Yeah, even the ones that come over here.
Yeah, worldwide.
Yeah.
Worldwide.
Same with BMW. No, BMW's Mexican.
BMW X, well. No, it's in the US. A lot of the X models are made in the US as well.
Well, I know in Indiana there's a Subaru factory. And it's interesting because a lot of people say, I'm on lots of Subaru groups in the US. And strange enough, there's a whole group and it's got loads for Subaru detailing. So specifically detailing Subarus in the US.
Getting all that Labrador hair out.
No, in the US it's different. In the US it's different sort of hair.
Different sort of eggs.
Human?
There's a joke. I'm not going to go down this
forums are you on?
There's a lot of woodland in Oregon. Just take them out of just good boots.
Well, it's quite funny because they'll say, these are really unreliable, these bits. And I'm looking there and looking at my JDM built cars and the American built cars. And the thing that's different is the in-car entertainment. And I'm like, that's the bit that was built in America. That's what's failing. Because people say, Honda's much more reliable than Subarus. And I was like, but no, my long way round point is that they talk about detailing products all the time, and G-Technic is the number one. Every time they're talking about it, I'm sitting there going, God, it's run by a bloke over in Northampton. I mean, obviously it's quite big and shiny and everything now, but it's a little English cottage industry, relatively speaking. Yeah. And here we have this group of super enthusiasts, so gods among men, throughout America, and all they can talk about is G-Technic products.
Yeah.
So you can, when it comes to an example of a UK company breaking America, America, I would say G-Tech's a bloody good
Yeah, and
example.
I think the one thing that I've noticed within the US is their expectations of customer service. They do expect top quality service.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think we're probably more relaxed about certain things here in the UK. We're okay when you don't get exactly what you're asked for. We put up with more things.
We don't need a happy ending.
Yeah. But I think in the US, that expectation is certainly very, very high, right?
Yeah.
So if someone's paying a price for certain things, they're expecting good value, they're expecting good service. And I think part of the reason for the G-Technique's success is of course the quality of the products, but also the follow-up support, the team that they've got there, and it's not something that's been built up just in a year or two. It's taken them 5-6 years to get to the point where they are now.
Well, they've had serum summits there for at least 3 or 4 years because I remember things through there.
Yeah,
I do love the term serum summit. Part of me dislikes it, it's kind of focusing on one product. The other part of me likes it because it's alliterative.
See, I remember when they first brought out Crystal Serum, and I talking to people, I go, serum, it's not a great
like
name,
medicine.
is it? It's
Medicinal.
Yeah, which ain't a bad thing. It's
No.
it doesn't taste like medicine.
and doesn't it? I also find
It tastes like burn.
clogs up your throat. Yeah, crystallizes really quickly there. So you're right. I mean, in terms of building up that US market, it's not just getting the products to customers. And that's the other thing people don't realize is because America is so damn big, overland service, particularly selling solvents, and you need to use a primary whatchamacallit, and you can't just bung it in with USPS.
No.
We looked from a magazine point of view of getting shipment, one center in America to ship throughout, and the overland prices were pretty similar, certainly East Coast, to shipping it from here. So it's like, God, everything costs a fortune there. But as you were
It's
saying,
that last mile, isn't it?
it is. I mean, we have the same problem in Australia in that we get if somebody lives in Sydney or one of the big cities, it can get there and they pay for the premium postage, which is extortionate.
Right.
But if they pay for that, they can get it within about 2 weeks. But there are people it's taken 8 or 9 weeks.
Yeah.
And then you just quietly Google Maps their address.
Yeah.
And it's when you have to zoom out to the level that the whole of the UK would normally be covered, and you can still only see one other house that you realise they're remote. And the thing is that kangaroos are not as good a post person as you'd expect. They've got the marsupial pouch, they've got the big ears, you'd think they'd be perfect, but they keep on getting run over by trucks.
I don't know if you saw the exchange I had with someone on Instagram the other day, and he'd ordered a magazine, and for some reason it just taken ages to get over there because it's got to go with the
Possum Parade.
Yeah, I know. And he lived in somewhere called Possum Parade, and I asked him to send me a photo of this parade of possums.
And I tried to make the same joke because I'd seen that joke. I tried to make the same joke with our local Siddington postmistress. She looked at me very blankly and thought I was even weirder than normal.
What's a possum?
No. She's
Hello there, possum.
No.
So I've just got Dame Edna in my head now. Hello, possums.
What is a possum? I don't know.
It's a small.
Marsupial.
Oh, okay.
Is it marsupial or is it
Marsupial,
rodent?
isn't it? But it's not the same thing.
No. Marsupials are a completely different. Like marsupials are kangaroos, and there are other things. I didn't know we were going to have a bit of natural history. I bloody love natural history. But no, I think a possum is like a large. It's kind of more beavery. No, it's ratty. It's ratty. I'm sure a possum it's got a long nose.
Marsupials have pouches for their young, don't they?
Or 6-pack of beer if it's an Australian.
Or a backpack.
Yeah. There are either camels in Africa. No, camels in Australia or kangaroos in Africa. It's one of the two. They exported to each other, and it was a little known fact that I mean, it's not a very clear fact, but anyway, look it up, damn it.
Saudi Arabia imports sand from Australia because the sand
Really?
there is no good for building.
Wow.
It's desert sand. So
We are enriching the lives of our listeners. I want to know the person who pulls over or who goes and gets the phone out to Google about kangaroos. And I want you to comment and tell me which way around it is so I can learn something from you. So that's the US market. Now, what I am thinking...
Sorry, possums are marsupials.
They are marsupials.
Yes.
Because your telephone told you.
I can give you the entire breakdown, but it is...
No, we're running out of time. So, in fact, what we're going to do is take a little break, and then we are going to return, and we're going to talk about, actually, leather. And leather-related stuff and rubbing leather and everything to do with leather. So, until then, thank you. Hello, everybody. I hope you've been enjoying this Pro Detailer Magazine podcast. I just wanted to take a moment to remind you that Christmas is around the corner, and we offer the Pro Detailer Magazine subscription, which you can gift. So if you have any friends or family who are into detailing, or perhaps you want to get them into detailing and show them what it's all about, we have the answer for you. It won't break the bank, and all you have to do is order the Pro Detailer Magazine subscription on the website and put the delivery address to be that of your friend or family member. The website is prodetailermagazine.com, and it shouldn't take more than a couple minutes to sort out. Anyhow, back to the podcast. And we're back, and we're here with Ram, talking all things Ram, Colourlock, etc., etc. But now I'm going to change the subject, and we are going to talk about leather. And what's really interesting, we are doing an article in issue 14 of the magazine, available if you subscribe now at prodetailermagazine.com. And there we are doing a bit of a mythbuster.
Very subliminal there.
It is, yeah, totally.
They've even noticed it.
I saw that post yesterday. There was a post yesterday, wasn't there? Did you guys post something yesterday on Instagram?
The day before, I think.
Yeah. We were testing with leather, and everybody was wondering, we asked, what do you think we're doing? And
That was a bit of an unfair post because I gave no actual clue to what we were doing other than a very abstract view through a microscope, lens.
A little lens. And you were the one replying to people on Instagram, taking an awful lot of joy and telling them that they were wrong. I saw you using big X's and stuff like that to people who we know are into leather and stuff like that. But anyway, we were in fact
cackling in the library at home with the brand is going. No, to be fair, if I'd actually used a decent photo, then someone would have got it and
I figured it out. Well, what we were actually doing was seeing what damage, if any, a magic sponge does to leather. Right. And various other sort of myth-busting things around that. So our actual results will all be in the magazine. But what we wanted to talk about is basically the don'ts with leather, because we see a lot of people out there doing things to leather that make us cringe. And I'm no...
Mostly on specialist websites.
Yeah, that is true.
That shouldn't stretch like that.
I can still see the hole.
The cow's still alive.
That was Star Wars and it wasn't a cow. Because there are certain things you see people like, for example, for me, it's steaming leather. So we've got Ram, leather expert here. We've got Ian, who's really into his leather too, to be fair.
Yeah.
What's your...
don't work on podcasts, do they?
No, they don't, but they still make me feel uneasy. So mission success. What's your to steam or not to steam when it comes to leather? Would you steam leather?
I wouldn't. I think while it can give good results, it's a very high risk approach to cleaning leather. You don't need to do that. Yeah. Right? Because the risk is that you could damage the whole thing completely. Right. And that can then be a very, very expensive mistake. Yeah.
What's the primary thing that's going to be damaged? Is it going to be the top coat on pigmented leather, or is it going to be if you...
Well, the actual structure of leather.
Soaking it through to the actual hide
the moisture level, the moisture content inside leather. So leather has a balance of moisture and oils, right? It's not one more than the other. That's why, even a conditioner has that... Got to have that balance of moisture versus conditioning products or oils or antioxidants and all that.
To maintain turgidity.
Well, yeah, you could call it that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't, but you can. So, but this is the kind of the myth game of table tennis that's gone backwards and forwards over the years of what you can and can't use, or what you should use on leather. And it started off with people possibly oversimplifying things with PU and saying, okay, you're basically putting a plastic coating on top of leather, so using a conditioner isn't doing anything because it's just putting a piece of oil on top of plastic.
Which I have to admit, I fell for that.
But that's the thing, enough people were saying it, so it obviously became true. That's how internet works. And then it flicks back now where actually that's not completely untrue for the first few years of newly coated leather. It is it's not a permeable coating as such, but as it wears down, as it ages, then you do
it's more receptive.
It's more receptive to think it has a vapor barrier, I think is the term that's
it's vapor permeable.
Vapor permeable. So you can put these conditioners on the top, and whilst it's not going to magically soak in like it would with something like aniline leathers, etc., it's still going to transmit the oils penetrate through to the actual hide underneath and make it useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that the 3 years that we're stipulating is not a magic number. It's just to give you that's just to give people an idea.
So again, the same with steam as well in that case works, because then if it's brand new leather, then the steam won't necessarily penetrate through to the hide underneath. If it's a couple of years old or something like that, then that's when the moisture can start to go through, and then you've got damp hide underneath.
Yeah, with steam, you're almost the risk is that you're pushing a lot of steam through the surface,
and then you've also got stitch holes. You've got
it's just going in there. Yeah,
what do you call it? The perforated leather.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
then if the foam underneath gets really wet, then you got possibly mold issues,
and it's got nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. So it's all those reasons why I would say, well, the result is not that much better than just grabbing a leather cleaner and cleaning it. So why not just clean it as normal?
It is a thing. I mean, in general detailing practice, the principle is always use the mildest option possible first. I mean, you and other leather companies all have, well, a lot of them have a mild cleaner and then an aggressive cleaner. And your mild cleaner is a sort of water-based detergent, foaming.
Water-based, for probably about 5.5 pH, so pH balanced cleaner.
Yeah.
That with the brush gives you a very, very good clean. And if it's just, generally in decent condition already, you don't need to use
the more aggressive solvent cleaner.
Or even the stronger cleaner,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's similar to what the older saddle soaps used to be.
Yeah. Yeah. So saddle soaps again, I've had people ask me why wouldn't you use saddle soaps? And I'll just say, look,
it's not a saddle.
Exactly. Well, to start with,
it's like a horse.
Yeah, it's just slightly aggressive. You don't need to use something that aggressive to just have a clean interior. It's not necessary, right?
Yeah. Oh, I got you there. And again, it's like with the magic sponge. And what's the new thing that's hit the market that people were talking about? Is it new? The scrubber
dubbers.
Yeah. Scrubber dubbers. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they look like really useful bits of kit, and just like anything else, it's kind of. It's basically like a little microfiber sponge, isn't it?
Yeah.
From what I can see. But there's obviously a very vocal minority of people who, on various forums or whatever, that have automatically turned and said, no, let's go to damaged leather completely.
You mean the people who don't sell it?
Yes. And they're doing that, A, to make themselves feel like they know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And B, because they've probably read somewhere that, for instance, microfiber will damage leather.
Well,
it will.
It will
eventually.
Anything technically that's remotely abrasive, be it microfiber or the skin of a newborn baby, it doesn't matter. It'll still damage leather.
It's all about doing these things by degrees. And I think we were just talking in the break about this, and it's similar to saying when you're machine polishing your car.
Yeah.
If you machine polish your car once a year, that's absolutely fine. Your paint will last as long as you
use a heavy cart and do whatever you want to do. Right?
If you machine polish your car once a week, then by that logic, machine polishing is damaging to your vehicle. You shouldn't do it.
To be fair, I saw there was a post on one of the big American forums, exactly that. And the guy, he was sort of having a go. It was this, I presume, either self-declared or he was highly respected, but a kind of a big cheese in the detailing thing. I think it was Texas somewhere. Was saying, guys, you've got to stop polishing customer cars so much and going, and they're hitting it with heavy cuts, some are wet sanding, on a regular basis, because then the next man down the line who's got to polish it doesn't have any clear coat to pay with.
Which is valid in some ways, and again that goes back to doing the least damaging option, as it were. So if you can remove a scratch using a very gentle mild cut, there's no point in going full bald steep heavy cut on there.
But equally, if you've got
microns of paint,
but equally, if you've got a very stubborn stain that you're trying to clean, and your average cleaner isn't working,
then step it up.
Try a magic sponge. Just try it.
You're not trying to restore something in the National Gallery.
No,
day.
You don't want to use magic sponge as a daily, regular go-to cleaning tool for your leather interior. I wouldn't. But if I came across a stain that was very difficult to remove, it's not happening, and I knew that all I had to do here was to clean, strip off the clear coat and repaint it anyway. I know that's my worst case. Well, I'm not going to mind then trying to have a go with the magic sponge first.
And this is a fair point, actually, because always it's kind of the risk assessment, and the options are, if you're faced with a stain that doesn't come off with a mild cleaner and a strong cleaner, your options are either have a hack with something like a magic sponge, which does increase the risk, or leave it be. And the thing is, when it comes to your customer, if you're competent at repairing leather and you've got all the kit there and there's budget for it, why not? And particularly if the customer's demanding it goes. However, if your customers, and this is the thing I see with detailers anyway, is that, you know, they can see much more than the customer often. And so they'll want to go further than what technically is being budgeted for, and taking the risk. And again, it's like with the scratches, is I've seen people who have, you know, wet sanding over and over again to try and get rid of a scratch, and they end up burning through and basically causing damage. And actually the customer would have been happy just by, you know, rounding off the edges and making it look kind of better.
Making it less noticeable 90% of the time.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
I mean, magic sponge, I presume people are still using a cleaner of some sort anyway.
It'll probably be combined with an APC or something like that, which is alkaline, which again...
So again, if you're using an APC, you know, people say APCs are bad. Well, APCs under wrong dilutions are definitely bad.
Yeah.
Right. But if it's an APC that's been tested and if you're using the correct dilution ratios...
Yeah, it's not so bad. And again, it's this, as you say, it's the Chinese whispers of the internet, is that people don't, you know, APC is a very variable feast, both in terms of concentration and in terms of makeup. I mean, not all APCs are strong alkalines necessarily. So it's,
we've got these new sugar-based ones that are coming out all over the place.
Bill
Hammers are the sugar one.
Yeah.
Somebody else brought one out as well.
Bill Hammer did was it a sugar-based snow foam as well? There was something very bizarre.
Sugar-based snow foam?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's using it's not that concentrated.
It's not as easy as pouring a bag of Tate and Lyle into a bottle of water. Because I tried that, it didn't work. Didn't work so well.
So you just made tea instead.
Yeah, that's basically my tea. A bag of
snow foam tea.
Ian likes 3 scoops in his tea.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
And some sugar.
Again with the winking. Why am I winking so much?
But no, and so what other big things do you see, Ram, that people do to their leather, and it kind of makes you think, let's not do that because you're taking a risk, sort of thing?
You're very much, there's no wrong way to do things, aren't you? Well, I mean, there are wrong ways to do it. But
that's my personal take on it, right?
Yeah.
I haven't been doing this for about 7-8 years now. I'd say you've got to do something bad consistently for a good period of time before you cause irreversible damage.
Oh, I don't know. I hit a tree, did it once.
Well, with leather, obviously, right? You know, in terms of cleaning leather or conditioning leather, right? So if you put some protector on in the first 3 years, well, you're not going to cause any damage, right? It's just not necessary, right? But I think steam cleaning is something that I've heard, you know, it seems to be quite popular in the US. You know, I think in the UK, while we've spoken about, you know, while there's all these myths and whatever, I think most professional detailers, when I see how they're sort of clean the customers' vehicles, the interiors and things like that, it's pretty much a good standard. I'd say, you know, we're up at a good standard. You know, I don't think what we're doing here in the country is not so far back or, you know, completely out of sync with, you know, how it should be done.
Well, one other thing that's quite interesting is the move, and the sort of moving away slightly from cleaning leather, but it's relevant, which is the move towards vegan interiors, and also how leathers have changed. So the background is I had to do we were at a funeral, I was moving the family around, and I've got a 22-year-old Audi. And put my dad in the back, and now he normally drives a 1-year-old A3 thing. And he got in and he said, your leather is so much nicer than my leather. And yet it's both Audi leather, it's both the same color more or less, but he said yours is so much softer, it's so much nicer, it's sort of feels more genuine, whereas his one, now he didn't pay they wanted something like $5,500 for Napa leather or something, which is just, Napa's just a process as well as a place.
Napa's a smooth leather.
And what was intriguing, and I've seen this in more and more because I had a courtesy car recently, a brand new one, and the leathers nowadays feel different. And there's a lot more fake leather around, and coming across that, and particularly with the vegan leather, you can get the new Range Rover, which is very cool. That's just been released.
The big problem with vegan leather is that the vegans don't eat enough protein. So when you skin them to make the seats, it's just very, very, very thin. You have to stretch it a lot further,
and you get judged every time you get in the car.
I mean, I assume that's how they make vegan leather.
Vegan. I mean, there's various things, right? So with vegan leather, they use, like Tesla claim to use apple peels.
Okay.
In their leather that supposedly helps with decomposition, right? Just so eventually when all the Tesla seats end up in a landfill, right? If they're 100% vinyl, they're not going to decompose, right?
see.
Whereas genuine leather will decompose.
It will decompose once the lithium leaks all over the car.
and in order to aid that process, what Tesla claim to do is they use apple peels, right? Now, I don't think that there are many Tesla cars that have ended up in a landfill yet, or Tesla seats that have ended up in a landfill. So we don't know. Only time will tell.
They
right?
still, lots of Californians have been killed in Teslas. I mean, there are plenty of accidents have happened in Tesla. So I wouldn't be
probably.
surprised.
I don't know results of it, but that's vegan leather. There's something new called as eco leather, and where they're using olive leaf tanning. That's starting to become very prominent. So something called as vegetable tanning was very, very popular back in the day. In fact, that was the only known tanning.
Bark, wasn't it?
Yeah, bark of trees, shrubs, and all of that. That's what we used to tan leather, right? But deforestation was a major issue. People are cutting down a lot of trees just to make more leather seats and things like that. Yeah. So what they've now looked at is olive leaf tanning. So if you look at olive plantations, all the leaves usually just fall on the ground and are just thrown away, right? So now they use those leaves to tan leather. So it's essentially a waste material. What would have been a waste material is now being repurposed and put to good use to make leather.
Yeah, kind of like the vegan leather.
Yeah.
Waste product.
But with those, because you were using the word tan, so a typical top coat leather that we'd use in a car is painted rather than tanned, isn't it?
Well, it's tanned first.
Oh,
it's all tanned, otherwise it will rot.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, I see.
So tanning stops the decaying process.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it used to be mostly chromium, which is apparently really bad for people, and got into wells, and there was a whole thing in the 70s about it. And the synthetic one as well, which took over from it, which I don't actually know that much about the synthetic tanning.
Well, it's just chrome-free tanning. That's what synthetic tanning is.
Okay, no, it's not specific.
You still use the chemicals, but not chromium-free.
Okay.
Yeah, they've stainless steel, I think.
Well, that was easy. I didn't need to admit I didn't know anything about it. Apparently, that's all there is to know.
Well, the tanning pits, I watched a program on it, and it was somewhere
There's one over in Wiltshire.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, this one was in, I think, North Africa somewhere, and it was all these pits with hundreds of people working there, and none of them had any teeth, and they were all.
I mean, North Africa is renowned for its high welfare of its workers.
But Bristol, there's a tannery in Bristol, very well known. Vegetable.
Probably not much worse condition.
Yeah. And it's great. I think they make a lot of cricket ball leather.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think we know about them. I think we researched them.
They make the leather. Cause I was reading something the other day about the budget and the red briefcase he holds up, and those are called government document brief boxes or something like that. And there's one company that's made them since for the last 200 years, and they're all covered in leather, and they also have a lead lining in them as well.
Lead lining.
Yeah. Oh, okay. But they're all made in the UK with UK tanned leather.
Yeah, I mean, we still make a lot of leather here in the UK.
I always thought it was just Italians and stuff like that to do.
No. It's not that many cows in Italy.
No.
If you think about the amount of Italian leather that's generally made.
Maybe they bring the cows in.
Yeah, they do.
They do, yeah.
Or they make them out of Italians.
I'm supposed to be the dark joke person. You've completely usurped me. Anyway, with that, we are going to round off this lovely little podcast with yourself, Ram, with 10 quickfire questions.
Okay.
So
I'm not good at quick fires, but let's try.
Let's try. That's not what she said. So what?
I was going to say, I think PJ did give us a 20-second pause in between one of the questions while he was considering his answer the other day. So
all of this can be edited.
We'll ask you them quickly,
so,
but apparently you can take as long as you like.
Right. I'll text it to you later.
What is your current car?
Current car is a Volvo V60, which is a courtesy car. It's brand new.
Okay.
Only been done about 2,500 miles, but I was involved in a minor car accident last week.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah, got hit. Someone just bumped into me while I was stationary at a roundabout. Got hit by a Dacia Duster.
A Dacia Duster? You got taken up the rear by a Romanian Renault.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm driving a courtesy car.
What did the Romanian hit?
Oh, the tailgate completely.
No. What is your actual car rather than the Volvo XC60?
Oh, okay. BMW 320 diesel estate.
Okay. The blue one. Yeah,
no, grey one.
No, you had a blue one.
Yeah, sold that.
Oh, okay,
sold that.
fine.
Yeah, that was a classic. That got James Little kind of excited. I saw him rubbing himself against it, and that was an E30.
That was an E46,
wasn't it? Or was it
E46?
E46.
Yeah,
gotcha. But your current one's a modern.
Yeah,
new one.
Yeah. Relatively. Well, 2015, modern-ish.
Still 10 years younger than any of my cars. first car. Well, this doesn't make sense for you, but first car you detailed. So let's say the first
leather repair.
Yeah, first leather repair that you did, automotively speaking. The one that sticks out.
Bentley Continental GT.
Oh, so you went in with a nice easy car with very little.
And
leather.
I was under the cosh. Really, I was just It was. I learned a lot that day.
You weren't there.
I didn't earn any money.
Look at how much a man can sweat.
Bentley, so lots of cocaine to remove, I suppose. But what is your dream car?
Aston Martin DB9.
Nice.
I like that. That's interesting. You nearly sold.
Or a Jaguar XKR. I feel like that's a poor man's
Aston.
DB9 kind of thing. Yeah, it's sort of similar. Yeah.
Yeah, no, Aston DB9. I find them intimidating. You like them. You nearly sold me one, didn't you? A long time.
DB9s, DB11s. I was really in love with the DB11s and the DBS. I think that's where anything after that, I'm not loving the Astons so much. I don't know why. I think the DB11s, the DBSs, the 2010, 2011, I really like them.
Well, they were pretty Astons.
Yeah.
The more recent Mercedes ones are probably much better. But for me, I kind of agree with you. I don't get excited. I mean, I don't get excited by supercars anyway because you can't go through a...
Yeah, and I think that was when I was sort of starting to get into Top Gear as well.
Yeah.
And I think I remember Clarkson driving around, DB11s, DBSs testing out. That was they were sort of great episodes, a great time when I didn't have much to do in life and I just had nothing but time and
So watch Jeremy Clarkson. Yeah, that's what I'll do when I retire. It's just like, right, Grand Tour, Top Gear, on repeat.
Exactly.
I've started fifth gear from the very beginning.
Oh, wow.
And going back through it.
You just want to watch Vicky, don't you?
Vicky, Vicky, I mean, I don't want to do a name drop here, but I have actually worked with Vicky.
I know, you've said many times.
For a whole day. And yes, she's
So you said about the XKR, and the only thing I can actually find memorable about the XKR is the driver's seat rotates. Just slightly, so you can adjust your driving position left and right.
Oh, really?
As well. Yes.
Are you sure it wasn't just loose?
Possibly. Because they put a button on there to cover it up in that case. They'll never know.
I like an XKR. If it was the original
I thought that
XKR.
only happens in caravans.
Or Renault Espaces.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, you can spin
Crown
the seats around the
Imperials.
original Renault
Crown
Espace.
Imperial, you can go all the way around.
Yep.
That's a very cool one to do.
Yeah. Go. Look at us and our car
Oddly
knowledge.
specific knowledge.
So this quickfire round. When have you ever cleaned a car yourself?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. How many buckets did you use?
I spoke to a detailer before and hence used two.
Two. There we go. Yeah, you're nearly. Oh,
Yeah.
Saving the brink there. Saving the brink. So when you
But the first time I did it, I didn't use a bucket at all.
Just bucket.
just cupped hands or something.
Just
a trowel full of gravel.
Just a little hose pipe. That'll do.
And again, we ask whether you prefer a ceramic or a wax, which probably
Wax, I'd say.
Yeah, wax is good. That's good. Actually,
Elephant wax. Do you use elephant wax on your car?
No, I don't have leather seats in my car. I just don't want to.
No, on the actual car.
No, outside.
It'll
No,
make it really hydrophobic.
well, shine, won't it?
hang on, you let a bit of a clanger there.
It'd be dirty and shiny. What do you think about that?
That's how I like them, baby. You just left a massive clanger there. You are a leather expert who runs a big leather company, and you've got a fabric interior in your car.
Absolutely, yeah. Don't want just
can't be asked.
don't want the pressure. Imagine being having terrible leather seats in my own car. I just don't want the pressure. Just
how many times have you had to redo your own steering wheel?
I think it's just the top of the armrest. That's the only bit that's leather, and I think the steering wheel, which is shiny as anything.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much. I mean, it's we obviously work in the detailing industry, and our cars are absolutely pristine.
Yeah, I'm yet to meet a detailer who's got a clean car or a clean van.
Unlikely to be a successful one. No, actually, I take that back because there are some.
Because I've got a dirty car and I'm not successful.
No. Okay, so more quickfire questions. Ferrari or Porsche? There's no right answer.
Porsche.
Interesting. That's definitely winning over Ferrari on average here. There is a wrong answer for this one. Subaru or Mitsubishi? I know where you live, Ram. Be careful.
Only for now.
Just because I love you, but Mitsubishi. Go on, Subaru. I know you love Subaru.
There you go.
I couldn't care less, to be honest. I don't like either of them, but it's just.
Oh, I was going to ask if you wanted to keep your left or your right leg, but you're going to lose both of them.
Subaru.
Subaru. And again, Flex or Rupes?
Oh.
For all the machine polishing leather you do.
I'll stick with the Germans. Flex.
Yeah. Stick on a German. That's the way to do it. And what would be your dream?
But they have upped their game, haven't they? Flex have considerably upped their game in the last year, 2 years. I think. I'm not a detailer by trade, but I obviously
They're
I'm
present.
surrounded by
Given up
detailers,
until
so I do.
2007, their only real 2012, 13, even their only real release was the the BRG.
Yeah.
That was kind of the only major thing they did in that time, and then in the last few years they brought out 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, but I remember
5,
speaking
6.
to someone. But I remember speaking to someone from Rupes at SEMA a few years ago. Marco, I think his name was. He was just so informative. The guy just had.
They're both.
Very, very, very knowledgeable. It's very It's a
We
hard
can
choice,
ask the question because they're so comparable in terms of, they're both at the top of their game for various different reasons. What has been, we need to wrap this up fairly quickly, but what has been your favourite interior leather repair detail that you've ever done? What's been the one that sticks in your mind as the one that just was the most satisfying, most effective?
It was one with, I think it was a
Black Audi bolster.
No, it was a BMW with contrast stitching, and I wasn't too keen on doing it, but once I started doing it, I just started, figuring my way out it, and I really enjoyed the process. But I've also restored a lot of leather in restaurants, like high-end restaurants in London, and this was in the middle of the night. And when you're trying to colour match in the middle of the night, it's hard work. But
Had they not given you permission to go in there or something? Where were you doing it in the middle of the night?
Well, the restaurants, the restaurants are operational during the day, so they only close. So the only time you can do it is at night. Yeah. So, and that's where I learned so much about restoring aniline leather, because all these restaurants. So one of them was the Claridge's as well, where we went and did a lot of work there. So there's a lot of, not just, if you ask me for the car, I'd probably say that BMW that I did, which was a while back. But just sort of best leather repair that I've ever done probably has to be one of the restaurants, because there's a lot of challenges that you're trying to deal with at the same time.
Yeah.
Do you ever watch BBC Parliament and just look at those green seats in the background?
Oh yes, House of Lords, House of Commons.
They look great.
Wimbledon, I'm a tennis fan,
Blaze
so I love
orange.
the Royal Box of Wimbledon. It'd be nice to just go in and
He was getting the Royal Box.
just to repair some leather. I mean, come on. Yeah.
That's the excuse.
Try and catch a ball like David Beckham, maybe, like he did. I don't know if you saw that. No.
Isn't he a football player?
Yeah, but he went to watch Wimbledon. He was at the Royal Box.
Okay.
And, it's just everything that Beckham does is cool, isn't it?
Is it? He does whiskey, doesn't he? Or perfume or something.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Which,
don't know, don't care.
Yeah.
It's just as far as I'm
His
concerned.
whiskey's not very good though.
I just don't. If Colin McRae brought out a cider, which is highly unlikely, I would get drunk on that every day of the week. But I just don't care about footballers. Anyway, Sunday driver or Sunday detail, which would you prefer?
Sunday driver.
Damn straight. Cool. Okay. Well, Ram, thank you so much for coming all the way
Pleasure
here
as always.
and sharing your wisdom and your great stories and your smile and all the other good things about you. It counteracts the natural grumpiness and misery that we
can't leave it so long before we meet the next time, I think.
No. Well, we just try not to have COVID-22. We'll be fine.
We should plan out a road trip again. I think that'd be fun.
I think that would be a lot of fun. I think we're going to Italy in a couple of weeks, so...
Well, I need a bit more notice.
No, I was going to say I'll send you a postcard.
Oh, cheers.
Buy you a T-shirt, something like that. Cool. Okay. Well, until next time, Ram, it's goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me too.
Ta-da.
Ta-da.